around on a trail called Spirit Trail, which is right across from the high school I used to go to, but just getting my exercise in. It's kind of a nice place to come, sit. So I gotta make this quick because I got a friend that just showed up at home. So my mom called me and was like, "Your friend's here, where are you?" So I have to go meet up with him. I told him I was taking a walk, so. Anyways. What I want to talk about is the things I hear about on the internet about Islam and the Quran. How people take things from it and distort it by taking verses out of context to basically say that they try to say that that Islam and the Quran teach violence against non-Muslims, which is not the case. What I noticed about the Quran from reading it myself is that you can't necessarily take one verse from it without, if you read one verse from it without reading another verse that could be several chapters before it, you probably won't get the full understanding of what that verse is actually meaning. So in the case of verses that are interpreted as violent, the Quran actually teaches those verses to, no, Muslims are not meant to be violent for no reason. It's self-defense. I just got interrupted with a text message. Anyways, Muslims are not supposed to be violent for any other reason other than self-defense. So if somebody attacks you, the Quran basically says somebody attacks you, you have the right to attack them back, basically in defense. So if someone's hurting you, someone's trying to assault you verbally, physically, or whatever, or assault somebody else verbally or physically, you have the right to step in and defend yourself or somebody else. And a good case for this is somebody who, I remember I saw this video on YouTube, and I'll put the video after this, at the end of this video. Two Jewish people, they just got done celebrating Hanukkah with a bunch of friends. They were coming back, or they were getting on a subway train in New York, and they got onto it, and they got onto the train, saw a bunch of people there, a whole group of people, and the guy said, "Happy Hanukkah." And these guys got really mad at him, and they started verbally assaulting him, saying, "Curse you Jews for killing Jesus and whatnot," based on what the Bible teaches. And well, I'm not saying the Bible teaches people to go out and tell Jews, "Oh, you're wrong," and then beat the crap out of them. But these guys started just swarming them and beating them. This group of people started beating up on him just because he's Jewish and he said Happy Hanukkah. Well, anyways, this was another fellow on the bus, well, not on the bus, but on the train, sitting somewhere else on the train, who came up to them, pulled one of the guys aside that was beating on him, pulled one of the violent guys aside, and asked, "Hey, what's going on?" And that guy ended up starting beating up on him too. So, and the guy who was basically trying to step in and try to see what's going on and try to stop this, was actually a Muslim himself. Was a Muslim. I keep getting text messages that keep bothering me, keep interrupting my video. Anyways, he's basically stepping up. This Muslim guy was stepping up, saying for this Jewish couple, and he was just standing up for him. And he ended up getting the crud beat out of him too. And basically, what I'm trying to say is, he was raised that way. He was raised in a Muslim family, and what he was taught was to stand up for himself and others. So basically, to defend himself and others in situations like that. And that's basically what the Quran teaches. And a lot of people bring up hadith and sunnahs and whatnot outside of the Quran to say, that bring up violence and be like, yeah, it's a mess, but what they don't understand is the Quran doesn't even support third-party sources for authority. In Islam, you're supposed to, the Quran teaches to follow the Quran, not anything other than that. And that's what I do. I don't listen to what other people say in the hadiths and whatnot. I read what the Quran says. And another thing people need to do is they need to stop taking what people on the news say just because there's a few bad apples in the mix. They shouldn't be blaming everyone else because there's a few few extremists that take things out of context and start killing people because they believe something different. That is not the way Muslims are taught to behave. We are not taught to be violent. People are not taught to be violent in the Quran. They're only taught to defend themselves during time of war or oppression. And so basically, if somebody attacks you, you have the right to defend yourself. Now, the way I look at things is, if someone starts attacking me, if I can't get away from them, I better start throwing a few punches too until I can get out of that situation and run. If I have a chance to just take off and run, I'm going to, because I really don't want to get in a fight. I really don't like confrontation. And there are times when I, unfortunately, get a little too ahead of myself and I almost cause confrontation, which, God willing, that will change. It hasn't happened. It rarely ever happens where someone gets on my case that bad, but I'm only human, so it's, unfortunately, violence is a part of human nature, in my opinion. But things like that can be changed. But yeah, definitely people need to stop looking to third-party sources about Islam, to learn about Islam. What they need to do, instead of listening to these rumors, they need to actually grab several like 2 or 3 translations of the Quran, read them and compare them to see what the Quran actually teaches. And don't read from cover to cover, or from front to back. And you don't have to read it necessarily in Arabic to get the full meaning. You can read several different translations, that way you can at least get the basic idea of what the Quran teaches, what Islam teaches. And if people are willing to research it, to actually take time to research it, and they don't necessarily have to convert to Islam or anything else, but this way they can actually get an understanding of what it really means, instead of going for what everyone else says it means, instead of following what other people say. So that's just my opinion. I hope this video is understanding, people can understand it, and I'm hoping that someone will actually take what I say and listen, take it to heart and listen, and put that into practice. Research it yourself. If you really want to know, research it. So, because I don't like it when people it doesn't matter what it is, they could take any religion or anything else, take a rumor and then use it as fact. Decide to say it, and believe it as fact without trying to research. That time I got a phone call. But yeah, I try to research it and research third-party sources, the rumors and whatnot, to see if it actually holds any weight. I'm done with this video because people keep interrupting me on my phone.
I was coming back from work right over here in Ongon, so I was coming back and I was sitting on the queue.
It happened aboard the Q train at 11:30 on Friday night. Walter and 3 of his friends were heading home after a Hanukkah party in Manhattan.
I'd been out to a supper club with Maria Parsheva, my girlfriend. It's a Friday night in New York City around 11:30. We boarded the train on Canal Street, on the last car in the queue.
When he turned to another group of riders and said,
"Happy Hanukkah." Like, "Happy Hanukkah, my friends." Like something to that effect. And almost immediately you see the look in this guy's face like I've called his mother something, like I've said something to him that like rubs him the wrong way. And I see the way this guy looks, and I see the way this guy wants to fight me, and I look and I see another guy right in front of me, another guy, and I see the crowd moving in.
In the melee that followed, Walter and his friends were beaten up.
A guy in the back of the train.
They got very angry and, you know, very insulted by that actually.
Goes Hanukkah. That's when the Jews killed Jesus. You killed him. You killed Jesus. You killed him on Hanukkah. You dirty Jew. You effing Jew. And I basically, you know, said that's ridiculous. I'm not like, you know, one to start crap with people on the train and on the street, but I'm going to stand up for Hebrew people.
The assailants still were being very loud and rowdy.
Dirty Jew, dirty
and they were, at this point, they were getting very confrontational with them. And the poor guy, you know, Walter and the whole group of them, they were trying to defuse it.
And basically say, yo, we're going to pull these Jews off the train and at decal and beat them on the platform.
This is horrible. I mean, this is horrible. This is the biggest wave of anti-Semitism I've ever been involved in New York. Attacking somebody because they yell Happy Hanukkah is obviously reason to believe that this was an anti-Semitic episode.
When Hassan Askari, another passenger, tried to help, he was beaten up too.
I don't understand. They just said Happy Hanukkah. That was it. There was nothing else, no provoking.
There were 14 of them total, 6 girls and 8 guys, and they're hitting me in the face. I'm bleeding on the ground. My lid splits open. I'm bleeding, and this random stranger, Hassan Askari, jumps in.
I thought one of the assailants came up to one of the girls and he might do something. And that time I grabbed him and I pulled him to the side. And I said, you know, what's wrong? Are you crazy or something? What are you doing? They all grabbed me and then they pushed me against the wall and then they, you know, punched me up a little bit. From there, they beat up Walter. They punched him and, you know, they beat him down pretty bad. It was really bad to see what happened.
Hassan's the only person to try and help us at all. Everybody runs to the back of the car.
No one else helped us except Hassan. No one else on the train.
A Muslim American saved us when our own people were on the train and didn't do anything, and when everyone else's people were on the train didn't do anything. Someone who in the media often gets painted as the enemy of Israel and the Jews, you know, this is a Bangladeshi Sunni Muslim. This is someone that jumped in, he knew we were Jews to help us. That guy, Hassan, my girlfriend and me and my best friend might have been beaten to death on that train if he hadn't jumped in and helped us.
My father, my parents, they always brought me up to help my fellow man. There's no question about, you know, whether I did anything special or not. What I did should be the norm for anyone. And Islam, it teaches you to be, you know, helpful to your fellow man, to be kind, courteous.
Hopefully this will reach a lot of people and it will change the way people view each other. It will change the way people act toward one another.
اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا